Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening in today. My name is Megan Mustafa. I'm a marketing professional, and I'm very pleased to interview today Nicola Bond. Nicola has been in the workforce for many years in lots of different roles, first as a team member, a staff member, and in executive leadership positions as well. Nicola, thank you for being here.
So thank you for asking me to have this discussion today.
How can women in leadership positions inspire and be an ally for younger women?
First of all, I think they can lead by example. And what they mean by that is when they're recognizing and rewarding their staff, whether it's through a promotion, through a pay raise, through acknowledgement in a team meeting, to be talking about their performance, which means they should be results driven. You know, they had goals and they had measures and they met those results, and those results impacted the bottom line. Less about they worked really hard or they worked long hours, but more about the results for the bottom line. And then the second thing is that we can do, all of us as leaders, is create equal opportunities to access some of these stretch assignments to prove that we can perform at a level higher than we're at and equal to our colleagues. And some of the opportunities that are created require someone to be at a particular location, for example, at a lab, or to be available at a particular time, for example, with another team. So what are the opportunities that we can create that gives everybody the opportunity to participate? And by that, I'm referring specifically with women, we tend to have a larger share of the burden of childcare, which means we may not always be available when the team is meeting. We may not be available to do the hours in the lab. So what are the opportunities we can have for anybody to work when remotely or independently, as well as those opportunities where there may be some constraints around them? So that's the second thing I think we can do. And then the third thing we can do is, as we're looking at our team, really focusing on whomever really needs a little bit of extra care and leaning in with those people. Again, whether it's a female or a male, somebody who needs a little attention and wants to get on in their career, how do we lean? How do we be a coach? How do we be a mentor? How do we be a sponsor for them? And we can also make connections with other people in the organization. So we can coach and mentor ourselves. We can connect with others that can coach and mentor. And the other thing we can do is just the group, for example, office hours or cohort meetings where we talk to groups of people.
I'm going to build on that a little bit. Is there something that you think potentially colleagues or employees from disadvantaged groups, be it either younger women, for example, that might face a bit more difficulties, or others be doing something in return to increase their chances and ultimately gender equity as well?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. We can't just wait for the women leaders or the male leaders or in general to do that. We have to speak up. And we have to ask and we have to seek out good leaders, good mentors, good coaches for ourselves. We have to make it known what it is that we're striving for. We have to let it known that we would like to get on in our career, or we would like a certain opportunity. And we mustn't be afraid to speak up. We don't always have a manager that will be the right person, that's got the right skill set to help us with that. So potentially asking your manager, is there somebody else I can talk to about this particular topic? Finding someone in the organization that you trust, reaching out to them, ask them for 15 minutes of their time and talk to them and learn from them. And what I found over my career is people are very, very happy to give advice, especially if it's only 15 minutes. And they're very happy to connect you with people who are driven and passionate and want to get on. Speak up and ask for help and reciprocate. When you're having this conversation with somebody in your network, by offering something up that you can bring to the table and how you might be able to help them. That's another important piece of networking.
I'm going to ask the last question, actually. I struggled a bit when I was writing the last question, and I always was against having women being in the educating role. I did write it nevertheless, because I thought change of behavior comes with awareness, and it comes with educating as well. So I will ask the question, and I'm interested to have your take on it as well, is how can women help the more powerful and more advantaged colleague or manager be their ally?
One thing that was a big aha moment for me in my career is that it starts in the home. It starts with you and your partner. Again, we know one of the biggest barriers that we have in order to perform is that we are the default childcare person. And I had this aha moment when I had my children, and I was feeding them from the minute they were born. Therefore, I knew when they needed the diaper change, when they needed their clothes changed. And so I became the default leader for the childcare in the family. And what I realized is that my husband was waiting for me to, give him the next instruction. And I didn't want to do that because I knew that as we went through our lives, I didn't want to be that person. I wanted this to be a joint venture for us. And so one of the things that we have to do is we have to give up some of that leadership of bringing our children up and allow them to make some decisions. And what my husband and I did was we both had careers, and at different times, one of us had something more pressing than the other, and we would sit down, we would look at our week and say, what's going on this week? Where do we need to be? How can we make this work? How can we make adjustments in our workplace or adjustments in the home, or reach out to somebody else for our help so that we could both manage our careers? And I was very fortunate. I had a partner, but it did start very early on. I think it starts at home, and it starts outside maybe the working world, where we have to start thinking about the behaviors that are enabling this sort of behavior to then come into the workplace.
Thank you.